came up behind me and I felt his breath. He leaned in, smelled me, and whispered, "You took a shower. Was that for me?" "Thank you. You smell so good now." Saluton al ciui, estas via knabo Adamo. Today I want to tell you a story from my life, a story that still leaves me with a lot of questions. It was a friendship with that guy. At first, everything was completely fine. We met, became friends, and got along just fine. But then, things started to get strange. He began doing things that felt confusing, flirting, touching, joking in ways that made me stop and think. To give you the full context, let's rewind 4 years back to the moment I first entered the National Academy of Arts. By that point, most of my classmates already knew each other. They'd been going to pre-classes, consultations, all that stuff. I didn't. I came in completely fresh. Anyway, let's skip the boring context and get straight to the first meeting. It was the academy hallway. That very first weird day when everyone shows up but classes haven't actually started yet. September, obviously. I walk in and my classmates are already there, mostly girls, and honestly, only girls. One of them comes up to me and goes, "Hey, there's one of my guy here. You can go say hi." She walks me over, I turn my head, and I see him. He was standing alone. That part I remember very clearly. Wavy hair down to his ears, that curtain haircut, glasses, dark skin, and he had same height as me, like almost exactly. And my very first thought was, oh, a nerd. Seriously, nothing special. Just some random guy in glasses with wavy hair. Okay, yeah, even back then, he had nice lips, a good nose, pretty eyes, but I didn't really register that at the time. What I did notice was that he felt a little off, like he was distant. For privacy reasons, let's call him Nicholas. Nicholas. I was the one who approached him first, and I was the first to say hi, to talk, to start a conversation, and that was kind of my thing. I was more proactive. If someone else was more introverted than I am, asking questions, joking, talking, and he mostly stayed quiet. Sometimes he answered, but very briefly. So yeah, I would say that he was super reserved, closed off. And I was acting like a clown, trying to keep the conversation alive, make it less awkward, you know. And at some point, I genuinely thought to myself, yeah, this guy's a nerd. Maybe even a loser. I'm gonna be honest, in my head, he was like a total dork. Full-on loser. Almost like I was in high school. Honestly, I don't remember what we talked about specifically, like at all. I mean, it was 4 years ago, but it was the usual stuff like where are you from, how old you are, why you chose the school, and that kind of thing. Basically, we were just getting to know each other. He said he was from the west, from a village far away from the city, and somehow, very naturally, we started hanging out more. We began going everywhere together. We never planned it, and we never said like, hey, let's stick together. You know, it just happened, and he was always walking behind me. Mostly because I was more talkative, more socially loose. Even though I'm an introvert too, I still had some confidence and some sense of direction at least, and he was like an introvert's introvert. I remember this moment outside the academy. We were just standing there talking, or honestly kind of not talking, and out of nowhere he started showing me old photos from his phone gallery. Just randomly, probably because we ran out of things to say. It was normal stuff like family photos, pictures of himself, random shots, and then at some point he decided to show his physique, like his body. Nothing weird, okay? Don't get ahead of yourselves. He worked out, seriously. He could do like 20, 30 pull-ups easily. He showed me his back muscles, and I reacted very emotionally. I didn't hide it at all. I was like, wow, damn. I openly admired it. I complimented him a lot. Yeah, his body looked really aesthetic. Looking back now, I realized he liked that reaction, which, I mean, who wouldn't? I think everyone likes being admired like that. Then we went to the cafeteria, just the two of us. Again, somehow it just worked out that way. At that point, we were basically the only guys in the group. There are others technically, but in reality, it was always me and him. He suggested we grab some food and we went. We sat by the window, the light was hitting him from the side, and I could literally see dust particles floating in the air. It was quiet and it looked super cinematic. I was watching him eat, just casually, and suddenly I realized, shit, he's actually handsome. like genuinely beautiful. And no, it wasn't just the lighting and it wasn't my imagination. His lips are full, his eyes expressive, dark skin, nice hands, very balanced face, nothing over the top, just very natural and very attractive. The sun is shining, he's eating, and these crumbs on his lips. And inside my head, I'm cursing myself. How did I not notice this earlier? And after that moment, I couldn't unsee his beauty anymore. Later on, I saw him draw, and I completely lost it. Because the thing is, he didn't draw like we did, not like anyone else in our department. Let me explain. Artists who actually studied through books, tutorials, courses, always start with construction. We have a base, like a skeleton. You block things out so the proportions make sense later. That's what all of us did. He started straight from a clean line, like a printer. It was as if he already had the full image in his head and was just tracing it straight onto the paper. Watching that was insane, because I never had seen anything like it before. Because think about it, you have to hold the entire image in your head the whole time and not lose it. That's not normal. I wanted to do that too, so I asked him where he studied. And he said nowhere. Like nowhere. He didn't even watch tutorials. And that's when I got mad, because how is that even possible? And to cope, I did what every insecure artist does. I tried to devalue it. I said something like, well yeah, it's just talent. You didn't suffer for years like the rest of us. It just came easy to you, you bastard. You know what he said? He said, yeah, I just can't do it. I didn't study. It's just talent. A village kid, no tutorials, no books, he just had it. God, I was jealous. Like, you studied this for years, still struggle copying a simple pose from a reference. And him, I never once saw him use references. Everything I saw him draw, he pulled straight from his memory, from imagination. And apparently, that kind of thing actually exists. It's called visual spatial intelligence. You know those videos online of kids with Down syndrome or certain developmental conditions where they pick up a marker and, despite poor motor skills, suddenly draw something insanely precise? And the funny thing is that they just copy what's already in their head. They don't correct anything, they don't sketch, and they usually use thick markers so they have no room for mistakes. Nick was the same. He drew with a gel pen, straight clean line, no undo, no sketch. That's why I started thinking he might be on some kind of spectrum. Not in a bad way, but in that way where one area is insanely developed, like visual spatial intelligence or photographic memory. You know that guy who looked at New York once from above and then recreated the entire skyline perfectly from memory? There are a few cases like that, and honestly, I think Nick was one of them. I even brought this up to our drawing professor, and he agreed. He called Nick gifted. He noticed his technique too, just like I did, or rather, the complete absence for one. So yeah, after that, I started looking at him a little differently. Since our department was film related, we were constantly dragged to festivals, and those festivals were shown in theaters. Inside the theater, Nick and I sat next to each other. We were already students, not little kids, so festival films weren't exactly modest. Some of them were explicit, raw, some of them uncomfortable. At one point, a sex scene started and there was a naked woman on screen. I didn't react at all, because it was just a movie. I don't blush over stuff like that. But then I slightly turned my head and I saw Nick looking down. He wasn't staring. He genuinely avoided looking because he was embarrassed. And in that moment, something clicked in my chest. He suddenly felt so soft, so vulnerable, a little naive, I could say. And yeah, I think that's when I fell for him, just a little bit. And back then I didn't know yet that I was romanticizing him way too early, because a lot of very unexpected things were ahead. But before that, I should probably add a few more things to the list of his "Why Are You Like This" traits. He also made music, a lot of it, hundreds of tracks and beats. And it wasn't immature stuff either. You could tell he had been doing it for a long time. But what surprised me even more was how comfortable he was with his body. At first glance, he looked shy, closed off, quiet, but physically, he was a pure confidence. During PE, he stood right in front of me, and you get where this is going. Every movement was clean. When we did squats, his form was perfect, and I was staring. I won't pretend otherwise, you know exactly where, because somehow he made that look impressive. And he noticed, he felt my glance, I don't know. He turned around, gave me that look. Playful. A crooked smile. Like he was teasing me on purpose. And just like that, the innocent angel image cracked. In front of me wasn't a shy guy anymore, it was someone who absolutely knew what he was doing. He knew how to move and he knew that I noticed, and that got under my skin, to be honest. As we kept spending time together, I started noticing things that felt off. The first one was his way of speaking. At the beginning, he barely talked, so no one really paid attention to it, but once he started opening up to me, it became obvious. He constantly used slang and swear words from the western part of the country, stuff people in the east almost never say. Sometimes even our classmates had no idea what he meant. At the same time, his look started changing too. Those sidewise glances, the half smiles, the way he'd look at me like he was testing something. And one day after classes, we were sitting on a bench, not talking, just quiet. He picked up a piece of paper and started folding it. One of the little things everyone made as a kid, the folded mouth shape. But he did it slightly differently, leaving a small opening in the middle. He stared at that opening for a moment, then he took two fingers, his middle fingers, and slowly ran them along the slit. After that, he looked up at me, squinted slightly, and smiled. That kind of smile. I didn't say anything, his look froze me in place. I just smiled back even though inside I was completely confused. I had no idea how to react when someone who seemed so quiet and harmless suddenly did that. And we stayed silent the entire time. There was another moment. We were at a mall with our classmates. The girls went off to shop and Nick and I stayed behind, sitting on a bench in the hallway, waiting for them. Out of nowhere, he turned to me and said, "Wanna see something scary?" I said, "Sure." I was just curious. So he suddenly put his hand on my thigh and squeezed. And that same smile again. Honestly, I don't know why I expected something more dramatic. It turned out to be that old classic joke straight guys love, grabbing someone's thigh and pretending it's edgy humor. I stayed calm, kept looking at him, and smiled back. "I'm not scared of that," I said. And that's when his expressions changed instantly. His smile just vanished. He pulled his hand away and looked at me almost disgusted. I could say disapprovingly, like I'd done something wrong. Sometimes, my mom and I would sit in the kitchen and talk. I taught her about the academy, classes, my classmates, about him too, obviously. As soon as she found out he was from the West, something clicked for her. She's from the West herself. She immediately felt this strong empathy for him, like he's probably having a hard time in a new city, no home food, no warmth, and she suggested me invite him over and let him stay the night. So that's how I invited him to my place. After another day of classes, we went to my home. My mom and he chatted nicely. He still had that same Western way of speaking. We ate together, and since it was already late, almost night, we went to my room to sleep. No guys, not yet. That night we really did just sleep. But even so, the weirdness was unavoidable. I made a bed for him and I lay down on the floor myself. Normally I sleep without a shirt, but this time I couldn't. And he, on the other hand, had no problem at all. He casually took off his clothes and lay down, bare torso. And I couldn't even look. Yeah, yeah, call me pathetic if you want. Any attractive male body makes me shy. His especially. My eyes just dropped to the floor. It's ridiculous, right? I could have just undressed and laid down, but I couldn't. I didn't know how to undress, how to lie down. But my body is normal, nothing special, but for some reason, around him I felt awkward. And he noticed that and said, "What are you embarrassed about? Why are you just sitting there? Take your clothes off and lie down." Look at you, all shy. That only made it worse. Somehow I took my clothes off, turned off the light, and lay down in my spot. I told myself, that's it. No more embarrassing moments. And then, out of nowhere, he said softly, "Good night, sweetie." Whoa, okay. Why does he keep throwing jokes like that while I just keep silent? I should respond. I shouldn't lag behind. So I answered, "Good night to you too, sweetheart." He immediately turned his head toward me, completely shocked. Ew! Don't ever say that again. Gosh, no. What are you, a damn gay? Are you a gay? It really doesn't suit you. Please don't do that again, okay? Wow. You just called me sweetie, and suddenly I'm the only gay one here. Okay, alright then. We lay there in a silence and eventually fall asleep. Like I said, during classes we were almost always sitting together. Honestly, like besties, always together. Academically, he wasn't doing great. He didn't really prepare. His grades were average at best, sometimes straight up bad, but he didn't seem to care much. He was always drawing. And he also had scholarship somehow. The professor is explaining something, he's drawing. Everyone is taking notes, he's drawing. Someone is at the board, still drawing. Anyway, so we're sitting there together one day and I open my phone, just the browser. The first tab that comes up is a manga because I was reading one at the time, just regular manga, nothing special. He notices it immediately and, of course, decides to joke about it. Huh, what's that? Japanese manga? What? Are you reading gay p***? Haha, what are you, gay? For the record, it was not gay manga. And for once, I didn't joke back. That kind of humor had already stopped being funny to me. You know, the whole haha gay jokes, haha are you gay thing? It felt tired and pointless. So I just looked him straight in the face and calmly said, well, I'm not hiding it. And in that moment, his face changed in the funniest way. He looked like a confused puppy tilting its head trying to process what its owner just did. And he was like, seriously? I'm not joking, I said. Why would I hide it? Have I ever hidden it? He didn't accept it right away. He went quiet, nodded, and you could tell he was processing it. After that, he kept coming back to the topic, checking again and again, like he needed confirmation. He thought it might be temporary, like I had imagined it or something. You know, the classic, you just haven't met the right girl yet idea. At one point, he even asked if I had a dad. Yeah. For the record, I do have a dad. He actually tried to test me. Sometimes he would show me videos of women dancing, very explicit ones, and ask, so, do you feel anything? I answered honestly, no. To be completely honest, there was some kind of reaction, but not to the women themselves. It was just the erotic content. Eventually, he realized I wasn't joking, that I wasn't making it up, and that it wasn't a phase. He accepted it. I even told him that I had tried to change it at some point, through religion, psychology, even esoteric stuff. Nothing worked. I had to accept it. I come from a homophobic family myself, so I had internalized homophobia too. When I was a kid, I tried to fix myself, but now that's not a thing anymore, so yeah. So did anything change after he found out about my orientation? Yes, but not in a bad way. It actually got better. He didn't avoid me, didn't get distant, didn't act cautious, and also he kept joking, including his gay jokes even more than before. And most importantly, he wasn't afraid of me at all. If anything, he seemed even closer. After that, he started drawing us. He was already a great artist on his own, but this was different. He was drawing the two of us in different poses. Nothing explicit, not what you're probably imagining, more like soft, intimate, but subtle, sitting close, leaning into each other, hugging, that kind of thing. I would show them even now, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be okay with that, so yeah. Those drawings almost got exposed once, by the way. We were sitting in a class, and as usual, he was sketching in his sketchbook. The guys sitting in front of us noticed, and one of them said, "Oh, let me see what you're drawing." We refused at first, but he kept pushing. He was like, "Come on, please, I really want to see." We looked at each other and decided, fine. They took the sketchbook and started flipping through it. Luckily, Nick had tons of random drawings in there, so they never reached the pages with us. They just didn't get that far. They flipped through a bit, gave it back, and said he was really talented. We both exhaled in relief. Some of those drawings I later posted on my Instagram. My audience there was pretty limited, so it felt safe. One of my online friends commented, "Wait, are you guys dating?" I didn't even have time to reply. Nick answered for me. He said, "Yes." After that, she messaged me privately like, "Wait, what? You started dating and didn't tell me?" I had to explain that he was joking, that we weren't actually together. He was straight. And yeah, he had a girlfriend at that time. Third one, actually. So yeah. Besides that, he kept sending me reels on Instagram. Not just to me, he sent stuff to everyone, but the ones he sent me were a little different. Mostly kittens, cute ones, kittens cuddling, kissing, licking each other, and under those reels he would write, "us." That wasn't the only change. For some reason, he also started slapping my ass. Any chance he got, grabbing my thighs, smirking, and no, before anyone jumps to conclusions, I was absolutely fine with it. If someone's thinking, "Oh, that's harassment," no, I was enjoying it. Yeah, it felt playful, friendly, just very straight guy humor with a gay twist. Let's not overthink it. After my second year, I ended up in the hospital. Some infection, nothing dramatic or interesting. Much later, I found out that one of my online friends had been chatting with him while I was offline. With Nick, I mean. At the time, I had no idea what they were talking about, but that detail would turn out to matter a lot. Let's skip ahead. I got discharged and it was already summer. Everyone had gone back to their hometowns. He was heading home too, but first he had to move out of the apartment he was renting. He moved out a bit earlier than planned and suddenly had nowhere to stay, so of course he texted me. He was like, "Adam, can I crash at your place?" I said yes without hesitation. I was honestly happy he was coming. He arrived around 1 in the morning. We took a walk around my neighborhood so he could smoke, then went back home and I cooked something for him. After a late dinner, we went to my room to sleep, except sleep wasn't really happening. By then, my room had been rearranged and there were 2 beds, one for him, one for me. He undressed without any hesitation and walked around the room shirtless. The only light was my desk lamp. It was warm, dim. He had also gotten his hair cut much shorter than usual and looked insanely good. I was just sitting there thinking, gosh, you're hot. Between the lighting, the haircut, and him walking around half naked, the atmosphere felt unreal, at least for me. Eventually, he laid down on his bed and I lay on mine. The beds were facing each other, so we were literally looking straight at one another. He was lying there, staring at me, handsome bastard, and started asking dirty questions like whether I'd ever had fun on that bed. And here's the crazy part. At some point, he took off his socks, grabbed one, pressed it over his nose and mouth, and started loudly jerking off. Yeah, he wasn't actually doing anything, he was just acting it out. He was pretending to jerk off over his pants, breathing into the sock. That was his idea of a joke. I freaked out, of course, and asked him to stop. He was breathing loudly, making exaggerated noises, and it was incredibly embarrassing. I'll be honest, it was also insanely hot, but our walls were thin and someone could have heard, so he really needed to stop. After a few plays, he finally did stop and casually went back to scrolling on his phone like nothing had happened. Okay, I went to take a shower. I came back wearing just a towel, changed into underwear, and lay down. My bed had a headboard, so I was half sitting, leaning back. Nick got up to plug in his phone. The outlet was behind my bed. After he did, he came up behind me, and I felt his breath near my ear. Not even just breath, his lips were practically touching my ear. He leaned in, smelled me, and whispered, "You took a shower. Was that for me? Thank you. You smell so good now." And listen, my ears are extremely sensitive to that kind of shit. So I tensed up a little and laughed nervously, but he didn't stop. "You want this, don't you? Please don't pretend. I know you do. Tell me you want it." And now it was both ticklish and hot at the same time. So what did I do? Gosh, I still hate myself for doing this. I cringed thinking about it. Instead of responding, joking, playing along, I started resisting and giggling like I was like, "Hey, no, stop, don't, you're scaring me, stop," laughing the whole time. This went on for for maybe 2 minutes. I think he was trying to move past my ear. I'm not even sure because I didn't let him get any closer. Eventually, he stopped. He straightened up and said, "Well, looks like you missed your chance." Excuse me? Chance? What chance? What were you planning to do? I was completely stunned. He turned off the lamp, lay down, and that was it. I just lay there, staring into the dark, trying to understand what the hell was that? What just happened? I mean, it was amazing, honestly. It was ridiculously hot. I liked it a lot. But at the same time, I felt incredibly confused. I had never experienced him being that close, that intimate before, and it didn't feel like a joke, unless his sense of humor really went that far. Either way, I couldn't fall asleep for a long time that night. Next morning, he flew back home, I stayed, and then something happened that honestly felt almost mystical. So here's what you need to remember. Just a few names. We had 3 girls in our class, and for privacy, I'll call them Cinderella, Rapunzel, and Moana. That same morning, Cinderella suddenly wrote in our group chat that she's losing her mind because she had the weirdest dream, and then she sent a drawing. It was 2 terribly drawn anime boys. One was a buff, dominant-looking guy, the other some small twink-type character. It looked exactly like the Ariana Grande and Cynthia meme. Then she explained the dream. In it, Nick and I walked up to the girls' table and told them we had started dating. Cinderella added that we looked just like those anime guys in the drawing. Masculine one was him, feminine one was me, which is funny because in real life I'm pretty neutral, not overly feminine at all. I read all of that and just froze. The timing was insane. Of all days, that day, that kind of dream, he read it too and messaged me. Oh, so you told him everything, huh? I swore to him I didn't say a word. Why would I even have the chance? We had just woken up and he had literally just left. Now remember that online friend of mine, the one who had been chatting with him while I was in the hospital? At that point, I still didn't know about their conversations, but since she was my closest friend, I messaged her and told her in detail what had happened the night before. She read everything and was like, oh, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but actually no, I can't. It's a surprise. And I lost it. What do you mean a surprise? What surprise? If you started talking, then talk. After some hesitation, she finally told me the truth. They had been messaging while I was in the hospital. That's when I found out. And apparently, he had told her that once I got discharged, he planned to kiss me. I don't know why he felt the need to share that with her, but he did, and she promised herself she wouldn't tell me. He didn't even ask her to keep it secret. She just decided on her own that I shouldn't know. But I should have known. And suddenly everything clicked. So that's what he was trying to do that night. He wanted to kiss me. God, I was furious when I realized it. Why didn't anyone warn me? If I had known what he was planning, I would have let him do it. Hell, I would have kissed him back without hesitation. Why the hell didn't I know? Even then, I didn't fully believe it. I kept telling her he was probably joking. You know how he is. And she replied that he really didn't sound like he was joking. A bit later, when Nick was already back in his city, he messaged me again, asked how I was doing and stuff. Then out of nowhere, he switched the topic and said, so, that night, you got hard, didn't you? I was embarrassed, but I admitted it. I told him I had been trying to bend my legs to hide it because if I had stayed relaxed any longer, there would have been no way to cover it up. He laughed and said something like, yeah, I know how dirty you are. Acting all innocent, but blushing like some f***ing slut boy. Okay, I'm so sorry, okay? That's just what he said. Then he added that I shouldn't be embarrassed. Like, bro, you're gay. Of course you got hard. No questions there. If I had gotten hard, then yeah, that would have been concerning. After that, he went back to sending me gay reels and then a kiss coupon. You know those Instagram coupons that literally say kiss coupon, the kind you can redeem if you want to kiss someone? Yeah, he sent me one of those. So about 2 months passed and he had to come back to my city for school. We were starting our 3rd year at the academy. There was just one problem, because the academy is terrible with the organization, the dorm assignments still weren't out, which meant he had nowhere to move in yet. And where do you think he went? Of course, to me. He came over the night before classes started. We greeted each other with a handshake and then a very bro-style hug, like 2 straight-up dudes, as if nothing had ever happened between us. Since he showed up really late, we didn't eat. We were both already full. He said he wanted to take a shower. I showed him where everything was, explained how it worked. Just as I was about to leave, he grabbed my wrist at the doorway and said, "Hey, where are you going? Come with me." Ha ha ha, obviously a joke, the most obvious joke of my life. He smiled and let go. I went back to my room, already thinking that he might try to kiss me again. But this time, I was prepared. Forewarned is forearmed. After a while, he came in with wet hair. Gosh, there he was again. Looking good and completely wrecking my nerves. He plugged his phone in and went to turn off my lamp. Apparently, he likes sleeping in complete darkness. As soon as the light went out, the room became pitch black. I wasn't used to it at all. I couldn't see anything. I assumed he would just go back to his bed, and he did. But he climbed over his bed and moved toward mine. Before I could even process what was happening, I felt someone hovering over me. And he said, "Well then..." Gosh, even telling this now hurts. It makes my chest ache. I wish I could go back to that moment. I could feel his body above me, his breathing, just imagine it. Someone you find incredibly attractive, charismatic, talented, soft, someone you never allowed yourself to expect anything romantic from, is now hovering over you in total darkness, pressing their body against yours, about to kiss you, and I hear him whisper, "Close your eyes." And what do? Of course, I don't close them, because I was terrified that the second I did, he would laugh and say something like, "What? You seriously thought I was going to kiss you? Wow, that's pathetic. Relax, bro. It was just a joke. Don't you have a sense of humor?" So I froze. Besides, what difference did it make? It was pitch black anyway, eyes open or closed, same darkness. He says again, "Close your eyes." I don't. Again, close them. I'm losing my mind. I'm thinking, how can he tell? It's dark. Finally, stiff and hesitant, I close my eyes. And immediately, I feel his lips on mine. Boom. Fireworks, explosions, the Milky Way, Jupiter, space. I couldn't move, and his lips warm, soft, and slightly wet. Fuck. Sometimes his teeth brushed against mine. He felt a bit inexperienced, honestly, and I need to admit something to you to describe this properly, guys. I've had many kisses before. This one was the best and the most important. And I was aching the whole time because I knew it wouldn't last long. I didn't want it to end. I wanted more time, more seconds, more of it. So I was feeling everything at once. At the same time, this deep sadness and longing because it was already slipping away and I couldn't fully take it in. The only thoughts in my head were, oh my god, what? And please don't stop. The kiss lasted about 10 seconds. All 10 seconds, he was kissing me. I was completely frozen, unable to move. Then he pulled away and said, that's enough, that's enough. Excuse me? Enough of what? Enough for whom? Who decided that was enough? And what am I supposed to be in this equation? Before I could process anything, he was already back in his bed, fidgeting, saying things like, well yeah, I'm into guys as you can see, which I later realized was just another joke I didn't catch in the moment. I just lay there, in silence, in shock. He kept talking for a bit, then stopped because there was nothing left to add. He lay down and then silence. Dark, quiet, awkward. I grabbed my head and whispered, holy shit, over and over. I think that made him uncomfortable. He laughed nervously, then silence again. And I felt unsatisfied, like I hadn't really lived the moment, hadn't tasted fully simply because I wasn't ready. I knew he was going to kiss me. I should have been ready, but I didn't know it would be real, not some quick peck on the cheek. Of course I froze. So in my mind, that kiss didn't count. It wasn't fair, I wasn't prepared, which means it had to be repeated. I couldn't let that chance go. And in fact, I did have a chance. He was vulnerable, in my room, in total darkness. After kissing me without warning or consent, I thought if I kiss him now without warning, we will be even. Still, like the coward I am, I asked, can we do it again? And what do you think he responded to that? He said, what? No, stop, no. Of course. When he kisses me, slaps me, calls me pet names, that's fine. But if I even lean the wrong way, suddenly it's too gay. I stood up and climbed into his bed. He instantly tensed up, and his voice became so small and almost scared. He was like, hey, what are you doing? Wait, stop. This confident, cocky guy who swore, teased me, acted tough, is suddenly so soft, so nervous and almost helpless, and that made me lose my mind even more. My eyes had adjusted to the darkness by then. I could see his outline. I held his face more firmly so he wouldn't turn away and asked again, please let me kiss you. Cornered and flustered, he finally agreed, reluctantly. And notice this, even though I wanted to get even, I still waited for his consent. I couldn't have taken it, I didn't, that's just who I am. Or maybe I'm just a coward. I kissed him, carefully. First his lower lip, then the upper one, and then back and forth. I was more confident than he was. I kept my hands on his cheeks, not letting him pull away, though I don't think he planned to. And I liked being on top. I liked the power shift, and his vulnerability drove me crazy, but then again, he pulled away. He was like, that's enough, stop. 10 seconds, again. Instead of saying no and continuing, I pulled back and returned to my bed. I hate myself sometimes. He did say afterward that he liked it though. Said it felt strange, like he couldn't feel his lips, and after that, just silence. He eventually fell asleep, or pretended to. I don't know, he didn't move and didn't make any sound. I lay there for a long time. Then I cried. Yeah. Pity of me, because it was too much. We kissed, and then what? Tomorrow the new school year starts, and we'll pretend nothing happened. We'll be bros again. Everything I let myself imagine will disappear. Before that night, before he whispered in my ear, I wasn't suffering over him. After that night, I was, and after the kiss, it got worse. I fell asleep close to morning. Even though I fell asleep much later than he did, I woke up earlier. He was still sleeping so peacefully, I didn't wake him up. I just lay there watching him sleep, enjoying the sight of him and his messy hair. And between us guys, this is illegal. I took a photo of him while he was asleep, and honestly, I take photos of him pretty often and keep all of them in an online archive, just so I never lose them. Wait, what? Who said that? Must have been the wind. At the morning, mom made breakfast, and I woke him up so we could eat. You know he's ridiculously cute when he wakes up and doesn't understand what's going on. I swear, seeing his sleepy, confused look every morning would instantly make my day better, honestly. So we sat down at the table, and mom, as usual, started talking, and of course both of them immediately began discussing me. She goes, I keep telling Adam he needs to move more and work out, but he never listens. And he immediately agrees with her and starts roasting me. Oh yeah, he's lazy as hell, a real troublemaker. And mom adds, exactly, that's why he keeps getting sick, catches every infection that passes by. You know why he ended up in the hospital? And here's the thing, I ended up in the hospital because of an infection that's transmitted through saliva, more specifically through kissing. So now my mom thinks I'm some kind of local make-out machine, kissing everyone and catching diseases left and right, which is not true. I don't kiss that often. But she keeps going like, you know why he was hospitalized? Because he kisses anyone he can. Ever since then I tell him every day, don't kiss girls, and he doesn't listen. Look at him, keeps kissing and kissing. At that exact moment, Nick and I stop chewing and look at each other, barely holding back laughter because of how ironic this situation is. Right after that, a message comes in saying the ceremonial first day of classes is cancelled because of the weather, which meant we were staying home, which meant he was spending another night with us. That thought made my little chaotic brain happy. After breakfast, we went to my room. I sat down at the computer because I had some stuff to finish. Halfway through, he suddenly says, let's shorten the day, and gives me that look again. I don't get it and I ask, what do you mean? He grabs the keyboard and types Paygorn into the search bar. Ah, that's what he meant by shorten the day. He clicks the first link and you already know what opens. Thumbnails, videos, guys, and listen, I'm usually a calm person, really. But for some reason, in that moment, I absolutely couldn't sit still. I immediately closed my eyes and started yelling, turn it off! Because watching that in front of him was mortifying, plus I was terrified that my body might react. He keeps scrolling and I snatch the mouse from his hand and say, no, there could be viruses, which was a lie. I wasn't scared of viruses. He tried to convince me that the site was safe and that he definitely knows, but I stood my ground and didn't let him reopen it. Eventually he dropped it and I went back to work. And now, looking back, I regret it so much. I don't know why I just didn't relax and sit there with him. He even chose gay content instead of straight stuff. That could have been a moment to get closer, to learn about his preferences and share mine, but no, I shut it down again. As usual, my embarrassment ruined everything. Still, things got interesting after that. I remembered the previous night and decided to ask him directly whether he felt any attraction to guys, even a little. But then he explained that he has never been physically aroused by men. Never. With women, yes. With men, no. He said that he might feel some kind of sympathy toward guys, but definitely not romantic attraction, and he could never sleep with a man, even if he wanted to, because there's simply no desire. That was it. Once again, I was convinced he's straight, completely stereotypically straight. Everything about him points to it. The gay jokes, attraction to women, and most importantly, zero sexual attraction to men. But he kissed you might say. All my friends think he's bisexual, but I'm the only one who knows him closely enough to judge. No, not even me. The only person that knows him best is he himself. And even more importantly, he lived among queer people. If he had even the slightest attraction to men, he would have realized it long ago and wouldn't deny it. In fact, it's usually straight guys who go crazy with gay jokes, slapping each other's asses, blowing kisses. Gay men would be way more hesitant, especially in a society where that's not accepted. I'm gay, and I can flirt with a girl or even kiss her, and that doesn't make me straight. And as a gay man, I never slapped his ass, even though he did it to me countless times. So why did he kiss me? The question haunted me for a long time, but eventually I started connecting the dots. Look at his social circle. Almost all his friends are guys, actually only guys. He doesn't really talk to girls and doesn't connect with them, while I, a gay guy, easily do. You can say that's just stereotypes, fine. But still, with his guy friends, everything is surface level, socially acceptable gestures only. He can't be gentle with them, but men need tenderness too. They need affection, love, and some can't express that because of social rules. I became the only channel through which he could express those suppressed needs. to be accepted, understood, gentle, loved, especially since he's very touchy and tactile. I gave him something he couldn't get in a normal male environment. And I didn't set boundaries. He didn't jump straight to kissing me. First came the looks, then the jokes, then the touches, then more, and finally the kiss. If I had set a boundary at any point, the chain would have stopped. He was testing those limits and I let him go further. He simply goes where he's allowed to go. And no matter how bad it sounds, I think he loved his reflection in my eyes. Maybe he liked giving me attention and tenderness because he knew it meant a lot to me. It gave him value, made him feel desired. He used my feelings emotionally as a resource, not in a cruel way. Later, he even admitted that I was the only person he could open up to like that, and that he felt some guilt about his behavior, but I never blamed him. Not once. He didn't trust girls, he didn't trust men, and I was the exception. So now, I don't think he loves men, but maybe in his own way he loved me as a phenomenon. Oh, and there's a funny twist. Remember how I said that the kiss Nick gave me was the best kiss of my life, and how he commented afterward that it felt strange and that he couldn't feel his lips, and how I said he seemed inexperienced? Turns out, that was his first kiss. He told me casually later. At first I didn't believe him. I mean, he had 3 ex-girlfriends. How could he not have kissed any of them? Then he explained that the closest he ever got was walking them home and kissing them on the cheek goodbye. So yeah, ironically, his first awkward, inexperienced kiss ended up being better than kisses I had received from professionals. And the fact that I basically got his first kiss made me feel oddly special, even though technically he kissed me first. Paradox. Night came again and I was full of anticipation. Maybe another kiss, or at least lying together watching TikTok, that would have been enough too. But no, someone decided to ruin everything, and I'm still angry about it. Nick had already turned off the lamp, like he did the night before. I pretended to be on my phone, waiting for him to make a move. I wasn't going to initiate, because you know, that would have been too gay for him. He started walking toward me, and right at that moment, I got a message. An aggressive one, impossible to ignore. Some guy I barely knew started cursing me out because I hadn't replied. We weren't friends, not co-workers, not a couple, just someone I met online through a mutual acquaintance. I would have replied later, but he saw that I was online. I was only online to pretend I was busy, and he assumed that I was deliberately ignoring him. We got into an argument. I tried to stay calm, but my face changed. I looked tense and annoyed. Nick noticed that immediately and just walked past me to his bed, not wanting to interfere. The argument lasted almost half an hour. By the time I was done, Nick was asleep. I was so furious, absolutely livid. I wanted to strangle that guy because I didn't even know what I missed. I didn't know what Nick was planning, but I know I would have liked it. And I'm sure it would have been even better than the previous night. Please believe me, I'm usually calm, super kind, really. But that night, I cursed that guy in my head in every possible way. When it comes to Nick, I become more intense, angrier, happier, more alive. That's what he does to me. And yeah, I blame myself too. I should have ignored that message, or even blocked him. If I had, Nick might have come closer. We might have talked, cuddled, kissed again. But no, what a loss. I fell asleep angry and heartbroken that night. The academic year had started. The dormitory list finally came out and he moved there. After that, I barely saw him. He stopped showing up to classes, skipped a lot, and I no longer had the chance to see him in real life, which hurt more than I expected. During first and second year, I used to see him all the time, look at him, admire him, and now that was gone. Sometime later, he posted a photo on his blog. He had shaved his head, a buzz cut, and honestly, it suited him so well. Somehow it made him even more attractive. To be fair, any haircut worked on him. One day he posted that he was planning to drop out. The class rep tried to talk him out of it. Others did too. No one really understood why. He had very little left to finish. He was receiving a scholarship and he was studying something he was genuinely interested in. Personally, I also thought the decision was a bit impulsive, but I didn't try to stop him. If someone says that firmly that they are leaving, it usually means they've already gone through the whole internal process. At that point, convincing them is pointless. And soon enough, he actually dropped out, together with his roommate. Honestly, I think he was closer to that guy than to me. They connected over music, talked a lot, they dropped out together and planned to move to another city together. He even wrote about it in his blog. He was moving to a cheaper city, since now he had no dorm and no scholarship. He needed to work and pay rent. After our first kiss, I was already feeling sad pretty often. I cried sometimes too, which is funny. You'd think I would be floating on air, acting stupidly happy, but instead I felt this quiet sadness. I knew I would miss that kiss. One day, while chatting with my online friend, Nick came up in the conversation. She told me that the night before he had gotten drunk and posted a long voice message on his blog, which he later deleted. Apparently, he was talking about his problems. I didn't know what exactly he said, only fragments she mentioned. I hadn't even noticed he posted anything. So I checked Instagram, and it turned out he had messaged me the night before. One message, and judging by the text, he actually was very drunk. It said something like, "I still really to kiss you." The middle word was completely unreadable, but the word "I" and "kiss you" were very clear. So my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. That unreadable word in the middle basically decided my entire emotional fate, so I carefully replied, "Hey, what does that word in the middle mean? What were you trying to write there?" I tried to sound calm, even though for me it was a life or death question. He replied quickly something like, "Haha, don't worry about it, I was just drunk." Not exactly a satisfying answer, but then he added, "Don't worry, I can kiss you again if you want. It's not a big deal for me." And I was immediately like, "Oh my god, thank you, you're amazing." Also, I still had that kiss coupon, so yeah. But a few days later, when he posted tickets to another city, I cried again. And to be honest with you, in real life, I'm not very emotional. I rarely cry, almost never. And if I do, I don't show it to anyone. Anyway, let's keep going. Remember Cinderella, Rapunzel, and Moana? Yeah, they saw his post too. Moana suggested that we all get together and go somewhere, one last time, and bring Nicholas with us. And guess where Moana suggested we go? A club. Not just a club, a gay club, which for a socially awkward introvert like me, is basically my personal nightmare. And here was my mission. I had to convince him to go. The funny part is, I didn't even want to go myself. What was I supposed to do there? Stand in the corner? Sit and drink something non-alcoholic? How was I supposed to convince him if I didn't want to be there either? But somehow, surprisingly, I managed. And if he was going, then I was going too. We drove there in my sister's car. When we got inside, there were barely any people. It was a weekday. On weekends, according to Moana, the place is packed. Since it was almost empty, we grabbed a table. At some point, someone suggested we play Truth or Dare. And of course, we chose the hardest level, the spicy one. I tried to argue for the easiest level, or at least medium, but the girls wanted spicy. Nicholas wanted spicy too. Absolute chaos. If you know what kind of questions and dares show up on spicy mode, then you can probably imagine what I had to witness and participate in for the next couple of hours. The things the girls had to act out with him were something else. Moana got a dare to act out riding him. Rapunzel got a dare to passionately kiss him on the lips, which was definitely not my favorite thing to watch. And since Rapunzel was the most unhinged out of all of us, she jumped up immediately and kissed him so aggressively that he almost lost his balance. Could you maybe tone it down a little? I won't lie, it didn't feel great realizing that originally I was the only one who had kissed him, and now she had too. And if we had gone to that club earlier, she might have stolen his first kiss before me. Yes, I know he's not an object and I don't own him, I'm not claiming him or anything like that, and honestly I wasn't even jealous, it just felt uncomfortable. We hung out a little longer and then decided it was time to go home. By home, I mean Moana's place. We were staying over at hers. Turns out Moana has 2 dogs. The moment we walked in, they started barking like crazy. One of them ran up to us and honestly looked like it was about to bite someone. But Nicholas didn't flinch. He crouched down, started talking to the dog in a soft, calm voice, and slowly reached his hand out. And just like that, the dog relaxed, started wagging its tail, looking guilty almost. Nick loved dogs, and kids too, his siblings especially. That was something I really liked about him. It felt like he had everything I didn't. Warmth, confidence, ease with the world, heterosexuality. And then inside, Moana had already poured us juice. We sat there drinking and somehow ended up talking about childhood traumas and issues with our parents. Everyone except me. I think I was the only one in that group who actually had okay parents. Rapunzel, Moana, Cinderella, Nick, all of them had rough childhoods. Nick's story hit me the hardest, obviously. I remember listening to him and feeling my eyes fill up. Yeah, I know, very on brand for me. Eventually, we went to sleep. The girls went into another room. Moana laid out a sheet on the floor for us. and Nick and I lay down next to each other after changing. And he hugged me immediately, like fully, arm over me, leg thrown across me. He was very touchy like that, and I guess that was just the most comfortable position for him. I, on the other hand, lay there stiff as a plank, but I didn't mind. I could feel his breathing against my cheek, I could hear it, and he smelled really nice. I was smiling to myself because I felt calm, calmer than I had ever felt in a long time. Honestly, it might have been the happiest moment in my life. I can't really put that feeling into words, so I won't even try, yeah. After a while, he started mumbling in his sleep, saying things about how he felt like he would die young, and that scared me. I immediately thought about suicidal thoughts. And yeah, I cried after he fell asleep. Quietly, so no one heard me. I hate even admitting that, and honestly, I cringe at myself when I remember how soft I became around him. But I'm fine now, really. Anyway, we didn't sleep much, of course. I woke up before everyone else. The first thing that I saw in the morning was his face. He had shifted positions, lying on his stomach now. The blanket slid down, his back exposed. We had to go to the academy, but I didn't want to wake anyone up. I just wanted to stay beside him a little longer. And my eyes kept drifting to his lips, his skin, his short hair, his back. And his back was so smooth and really beautiful. I sat up slightly and traced my finger along his back. I just wanted to touch him. I hope he didn't feel it, but he seemed deeply asleep. I stayed like that for a while, long enough that we were actually running late. Eventually, I tried to wake him up gently, whispering his name a few times. He didn't react, because I was too soft, I guess. Then I woke Moana. She barely reacted at first, then finally got up and aggressively shook Nick until he woke up. And that did it. We took a taxi to the academy, said goodbye to Nick, and went inside. And the moment we did, everything felt empty. A few days later, Nick left the city. Not his hometown, just another city. He went there with a friend to work, make money, and live independently. And yeah, I hate to say that. I really hate to say that, but I cried sometimes. Honestly, I don't even know why. My life was fine. Nothing really changed after he left. But there was this quiet, lingering ache that just wouldn't go away. He didn't disappear from my life though. Every now and then, he would text me, send me random Instagram reels. One time, he sent me the reel with the lyrics that kept repeating, "I'm head over heels in love with you." Of course, it gave me butterflies, and at the same time, it hurt because obviously, it was just a joke. He didn't mean it seriously. And I replied with a joke, "Hey, have some mercy on my feelings." And I meant it as a joke too, but apparently he took it seriously. Almost immediately he replied, "Wait, are you in love with me?" And I got uncomfortable instantly. Because yeah, maybe I was, but saying it out loud felt dangerous. So I answered carefully, and I said, "I don't think so, but you are attractive, charismatic, talented, honestly amazing. I like you a lot. I just don't know if I'm in love. Probably not." I didn't admit it. Part of me thought he might laugh at me. Only later did I realize he asked because he was worried. His tone wasn't teasing as I thought back then. It was just concerned. So he instantly replied, thoughtfully, "You know, I don't really think men can fall in love. Thank you for the compliments though, but I think you see those qualities in me just because they already exist in you." And that actually made me feel lighter. So I was more honest after that. I told him I cared about him, that I thought about him, that I loved him as a person. And replying to that, he was like, "And I love you too. Not in a romantic way, of course, but I do love you. And that's exactly why I kissed you. I kissed you because I knew you would understand it the right way. Other people wouldn't." As far as I remember, after that conversation, the pain just stopped. Like something heavy was lifted off my chest. It's been over a year now, maybe more. We still chat sometimes. He still sends me reels. And I think maybe I'm still in love. But this time, it just doesn't hurt. Thanks for listening. If you've ever had someone in your life like that, someone who blurred the line between friendship and something more, you'll probably understand the story better than anyone else. And if this story meant something to you, feel free to leave a like or share your own story in the comments. I would be glad to read them. Bye.